work of art, your heart is gleaming gold.
Good evening and welcome to Plain Talk. My name is Christopher Ram. Thank you for joining us this evening on this special program warranted by the invasion of Ukraine by forces from Russia following a declaration by President Putin. Already there have been a number of deaths. The Russians have used cluster munitions which are considered illegal. They've shelled more than a dozen cities and towns. They've seized, which, as we all know, had that impact on the environment several years ago. And it seems that the world is now in the possibility, certainly following on the largest military action in Europe, certainly for this century, and can get much, much worse. To discuss the matter this evening, which makes it even more special, is former President Donald Ramotar, who himself had studied in Czechoslovakia. Is that correct?
No.
You worked in Czechoslovakia?
I worked in
Czechoslovakia. And is pretty au fait with that area of Europe. So, Mr. Ramotar, former President, may I call you President Ramotar, the honorific, you still deserve it. Welcome to Plain Talk.
Thank you.
The government of Guyana today condemned the violation of Ukraine's sovereignty by Russia and says a full statement will be issued by the end of the day. The government is now in consultation with our international partners and will issue a full statement. Now, interesting, it did not say regional partners, it says international partners. What do you read into that statement, Mr. Ramotar?
Well, as you know, I'm not in government now, so the statement doesn't represent my own position on the situation. I just wanted to say very briefly that what you said and described as an invasion by Russia in Ukraine, I think it needs more. On the face of it, what happened yesterday and today, it could appear so, but that's ignoring history completely of what had happened and how we got. I think the question that you should be asking is how we got to this stage. That is the main issue of how we got here. And then I don't think, if you look at it from yesterday to now, you probably will call Russia an aggressor. But if you look at how we got here, I think it's impossible to describe Russia as the aggressor in this type of situation. This matter has had its roots at the collapse of the Soviet Union, when the Soviet Union collapsed. And you know, it's on record now that Gorbachev was given the assurance that NATO will not move 1 inch eastwards. They have since moved 800 miles, not an inch, but 800 miles eastward they have moved. And they were even told that they will not even move to the eastern part of Germany. That was called the German Democratic Republic at the time. Now they have gone and taken over all this. And all of this happened when the Cold War was ended, when the socialism as a system in Eastern Europe had collapsed. Russia is a capitalist country. So there's no fight between socialism and capitalism in this case. And all of this happened when, in 1997, the Clinton administration began to engage the Eastern European countries to join NATO. I would like to bring to your attention.
I just want to ask you, didn't they have a right to self-determination?
No, the question is, you are old enough to remember that when the Soviet Union put missiles in Cuba,
Yes.
as a result of Americans having missiles in Turkey on the Soviet Union border, the Americans were ready to go to war. They were ready, and Kennedy was very blunt about it. If it's so be it, the Third World War, let it be. And
That's what, 60 years ago?
62.
Are we trying to
1962.
rewrite? Are we
No,
going
I'm not
back
trying
in
to
history?
rewrite history, but what I'm saying that you are ignoring completely, and not only you, but the propaganda that is the deluge of propaganda,
the whole world.
the deluge of propaganda that is now spreading all over the place,
Your
is
government-
ignoring the
your-
fact. I am speaking. Let me speak, Chief. We can't have a meeting like if you
Go
go
on, go on.
the deluge of propaganda is totally ignoring history. Russia, the crook of this matter, the root of this matter is Russian legitimate security concern. Russia's, and that is what is being ignored. That is the problem that we have today. And Russia was given the assurance that NATO would not move. But obviously NATO, seeing the weakness of Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union, started. I want to read for you, for your listeners.
Once it's very brief though. It's
Yes,
very
it's
brief.
very brief. One of the last, one of the last ambassadors from the United States to the Soviet Union. He was from 1987 to 1991. He was ambassador, and in 1997 he was asked to speak to the Senate Foreign Relations Council about NATO's expansion towards the Soviet Union. His name is Jack Matlock Jr. And this is what he said to the Senate. I just read one paragraph. He said, "I consider the administration's recommendation to take new members into NATO at this time misguided. It is, if it should be approved by the United States Senate, it may well go down in history as the most profound strategic blunder made since the end of the Cold War. Far from improving the security of the United States, its allies, and the nations that wish to enter the alliance, it would well encourage a chain of events that would produce the most serious security threat to this nation since the Soviet Union collapse," unquote. Now this is a man who is an American citizen, he's a patriot of the United States,
Yes.
who has been warning, don't do this, because you
Don't do what?
don't take NATO to Russia's border.
No, but
There was no reason for it, Chris.
No, but
I'm telling you, there was absolutely no reason for it. Socialism had collapsed. They said they were fighting socialism. They wanted to prevent socialism. Russia is a capitalist state. Russia is probably a bigger capitalist state than the United States, because the United States has far more security nets than Russia. So why this invasion and this encroachment on Russia's
how
borders?
can you use the word invasion here, Mr. President, when we are talking about Russia that has invaded Ukraine? But I want to get back to this. I want to get back to this. Now,
let me make this
Yes,
other point
sir.
to you. Let me make another
Sure.
point to you. If Putin was such a terrible aggressor, if Russia was this terrible aggressor that you're trying to make them out to be, they would have taken over Donetsk and Luhansk since they took over Crimea. But they didn't. And they tried their best to get a peaceful solution. You had the Minsk Accord, where Russia was begging, practically begging Ukraine who signed the accord to stick by the
but
accord.
this is a violation of the Minsk Accord.
No, yes, but the Minsk Accord was not violated. No, the Minsk Accord was violated a long time ago by Ukraine.
So tell me something. You honestly believe,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sure you were looking at television, at the moment the Security Council was discussing a peaceful resolution, Putin announced military action. How much more cynical? How much more cynical can one get?
But you.
How much more cynical
You're
can one
ignoring 8 years since these accords were signed by Ukraine and to give more autonomy to Donetsk and Luhansk. To give them autonomy, they failed to do that. The very president of Ukraine today was elected on the ground of improving relationship with Donetsk and Luhansk and improving relationship with Russia. The very president. And then when he tried to do, because you know Russia, but Ukraine also has a strong fascist group in Ukraine. And you know that during the Second World War, part of Ukraine, people collaborated with the Nazi Germany. And they even killed one of the best Russian general, one of the men who fought at General Nikolai Vatutin was killed in Ukraine in 1944 by the fascists. And those same fascist elements still exist today and are in demonstration and trying to prevent any kind of reconciliation with Donetsk and Luhansk.
You know, it's interesting you take this very strong position.
Yeah.
But you're, as I said,
I am
the
not
government.
here. I am not here
No,
representing
no,
the
I know
government.
that. I know
Nor
that.
am I here representing the PPP. I'm representing my own
I
views.
know that, sir. I know
Okay.
that. You've also got the PNCR deploring Russian invasion of Ukraine. So you
Fine.
mean all these people are stupid and you alone have all the facts?
Maybe they have other interests. I don't know. But my interest is on justice and truth. You know.
With this kind of,
This is- but-
international
But
war.
let me tell you, comrade, how do you explain and why is it that in 1999 NATO expanded, taking in Poland, the Czech Republic,
But if the country,
Hungary?
no, if they want to
Then
join,
they-
why not?
But why can't they say no, that this thing will create a problem if it threatens world peace? It's not only, it's a two-way street.
So tell me
It's
something.
a two-way street. So
So
if
tell me something.
it doesn't
Putin,
mean, here,
Putin.
let me make this point to you.
Uh,
If I was General Secretary of the PPP today, and you came to me and said you want to join the PPP, I will tell you no. Right? So it's a two.
I think the incumbent would say no as well.
I don't know if what he would say, but I am telling you, it's a two-way street. It's not only that you want to join that automatically means that you must join.
So
Where is the responsibility of the United States and NATO toward world peace?
where is
it?
Where is self-determination in your books
Self-determination?
of countries?
Yes, every country got a right to self-determination.
And-
But every country, you cannot have in this world today, you cannot have security for one and not for the other. If
But
Russia, oh, you mean, what are you making up your face? You pretending that apparently you don't understand what's happening in Eastern Europe?
No, you understand, and I'm
Yes, I
glad you
do.
do.
That's
Well,
what I
educate
was,
me.
That's why I was telling you in front that 800 miles.
propaganda.
What is propaganda?
No.
Is it propaganda that Poland is in Ukraine? Is it propaganda that the United States has put missile launchers in Poland and Romania? And when Russia protested, they said it's not against Russia, it's against Iran?
No, but tell me
Is
this.
that propaganda?
Tell me this.
Uh,
Do you think that the other Baltic countries now, former countries that made up the USSR, they are now under threat?
No. They have let me make this point to you. This matter can end now. All the NATO has to do is to tell Russia that they will not accept Ukraine into the NATO's pact.
So you have a situation where this opportunist, and that's a kind word to describe Putin, uses two breakaway states. He signs a recognition accord and then uses that as the basis to invade another country. How does that help us, help this world, in terms of bringing peace and order?
You see, you as I said, one of the problems with you're not taking the total picture. You're taking a moment. You're taking a snapshot in history. And let me make this point. The very man you call an opportunist, Putin, when he became president of Russia, he offered, because when NATO was expanding more and more, and Yeltsin made a big noise about it, Putin offered to let Russia join into NATO. He was rejected. So why you think that NATO has a right to reject Russia's membership into NATO, but they must automatically accept Ukraine?
Well, it seems to me, I don't know the facts on that one, and I want to believe what you're saying.
It's a fact.
That Putin.
The
Okay,
very
hold
man,
on.
hold on,
You're not allowing me to finish.
No, let me finish first.
You make the point about
you
Putin.
cut in on me like a Spanish radio station. Listen,
I didn't know about that one.
the same man that you called opportunist
I was
This is
being
the
kind, I
same
was
man
being
who
kind.
the same man who was the first person to call President Bush after 2011, offered Russia's support and assistance to fight terrorism, allowed Russia to be used by the Americans to go and fight the terrorists in Afghanistan.
But-
This is the same man you now calling an opportunist.
And a thug.
Huh?
And a thug.
Well, I don't know.
He's
who-
an international thug.
I don't know what you will call NATO then. What
He's
you
an
will call-
international thug.
What you will call the,
Now, you made
the
it-
Secretary General of NATO, and what you will call all of those in the West who's pushing this thing against and pushing to
You made a
threaten Russia.
You made a point just now that Russia offered to join NATO.
yeah.
Now, Poland, Ukraine, Estonia, Latvia, all of them.
Right.
So, what's different? So they join. So why is one good and the other not good?
Well, okay, that's the interesting question. Why is it that Russia was denied membership and these others was? The question is very clear. I think Putin is totally correct that the real intention is to balkanize Russia, to break it up, to ensure that Russia never rise
Russia is
again as a
broken
power.
up. Russia is broken up.
And that is why you're going to take advantage of it. That
Russia
is,
is not being taken
of
advantage
course,
of.
by
Oh, come
pushing
on.
NATO onto its border, is not taking advantage of Russia's weakness.
Tell me something. Russia has been playing games all along.
What
Can
games?
I finish my
Yeah,
question, please?
Sure.
And then you can answer.
Go. But if you will shut up when I am answering, it's me.
Not
fine.
shut up. You don't
Yeah.
speak like that on
All right, good.
television. You have a situation where Putin
Mhm,
pretended
mhm,
that his troops were being recalled. You remember the
Uh-huh.
troops that he said?
uh-huh.
That was a cynical ploy again. Is this an
But
honest
this- all-
fight
All of this is diversion. All of this is red herring you throwing.
by him?
No, it's what you are saying because you are avoiding the real issue. You are avoiding to go into the root of the problem. The root of the problem is Russia's security interests. Russia has a right to feel secured. This world will not be secured if only one set of people feel secure.
That's the only thing Putin has kept saying. But well, let's move on. We differ there, and we just hopefully
No, but
respectfully.
that's the fact.
No, let's-
Do you think that Russia has a right to feel secured?
Everybody has a right to feel
Well,
secure. Now let me ask
so
you.
why isn't
No.
why isn't it given the right?
You want us to
feel
switch
secure?
chairs?
It doesn't matter with me.
Now, do you see this
Mhm.
as the beginning of Putin's expansion of his sphere of interest and the
Putin-
restoration of the USSR?
Putin doesn't want to expand.
No.
No, Putin has never wanted to expand. All of this
Why
is
do you?
distorted.
What's the basis of your saying that?
Putin has never, look, I am not only talking from me, I'm going to also, if you allow me to quote again from Mr. Matlock, the same man, Matlock, who is a specialist in this area, who is a patriot of the United States, who said that Putin has never wanted to take out the Baltic states. He never made any attempt. All the way down the line, he's never even made any attempt to take them over. And he's saying, in an article he wrote in 2014, when you had the, it was called, Who's the Bully? The US has treated Russia like a loser since the end of the Cold War. And then he pointed out that the way this will lead to.
what is
This is Mr. Matlock. This is not Donald Ramotar speaking.
No, but it seems as though that is your Bible.
No, but I am trying to
That's
get...
your Bible.
No, because this man is an authority.
What makes him an authority?
Because
What about
he
all
is a
what
specialist-
about all the others? What about all the...
Which others?
Well, for example, the United Nations General Secretary.
It is very unfortunate that he
Secretary
is the
General, sorry.
Secretary General of the United Nations, and the first thing he did was to take sides.
You take what?
Take sides in a conflict instead of him trying to bring peace. I'm emphasizing to you that peace can only come if Russia's security interest is taken into
Okay.
consideration.
So peace can only come on Russian terms. Okay.
I'm not on Russian term, on Russia's right
Now-
to feel safe.
Do you see, again, I'm hoping I can draw a wider thing than that
Matlock.
piece of paper.
You don't
Matlock.
you don't like Matlock.
No. I have no problem with Matlock. What I would like to hear is from your own view.
Yeah, sure. I'm giving you my own view too. I coincide with Matlock.
What do you think? What role do you see China playing in
Into
this issue?
Look, China has always tried their best not to get involved in conflicts and so forth. But I think that China, I mean, I can't speak for the Chinese. I can only speculate. I think that China has its problems too with the United States, with NATO, with the West. They also seems not to want China to develop any faster. And all of these sanctions.
Where do you get that?
Why are all these sanctions then? Why are all of these sanctions? What is the aim? What is the objective of all of these sanctions that are being put on Russia and China? Many sanctions. They can't buy chips from the United States for electronic equipment. Many other things.
And you don't think China does its own types of improper behavior? You don't think so? China is a white angel for you, is it?
Switching,
is it? No, I'm asking you.
You're like a swing bowler. You're bowling all over the place.
No.
You spring the ball all over.
No, let me finish the generalization. Let's get on to facts. I was asking you, what role do you think China will play, either in the escalation or de-escalation of this matter?
I think China is trying its best to have a de-escalation. And in trying its best to have a de-escalation, China, I think their position, if I read it correctly, is similar to what I'm saying, that Russia must feel secure, that Russians must feel secure within their borders.
And what is interesting, there's pretty widespread anti-war protests.
Everybody, who likes war? No one.
No, Donald, you're not allowing me to finish, please.
Sorry.
And that's in Russia, and you're saying that those people feel secure, don't they?
Look, there'll be a lot of protests. Nobody wants war. I don't think anyone wants war. I don't think the Russian troops or the Ukrainian people, no one wants war. But war, as it is said by one famous military man, war is the continuation of politics by other means. When the political and the diplomatic efforts have failed, then that is what you get.
You know, if we were to go back to 2014 and the annexation, you know what the Russians did, but we wanted to broaden the discussion.
Well, no, you want to talk about 2014 and Russian annexation? I'm ready to talk about that too.
Now, how troubled are you as a citizen, an international citizen, that this conflict can in fact escalate into possibly a European war or indeed a third world war? How concerned are you?
I am most concerned, and I believe that I am one of the first persons to express that concern in Guyana and in the region. I wrote an article about it. Many newspapers didn't carry it. Didn't even carry. I think only Stabrook News carried my.
That's ironic, isn't it?
my article on the situation there. But it was carried in many of the Caribbean countries, and as a result of that, I was asked to have interviews in some Caribbean television station, because I was saying that this thing, because of the experience of the Caribbean with the missile crisis in 1962, and when the world came very close to a nuclear disaster, that the Caribbean must take a bigger role. I didn't expect them to just just to follow blindly the United States, but I think the question that we have to take now is the position that has to be taken is how to end this war, and the only way we can end it is taking into consideration Russia's legitimate security concerns.
So
I come back to that.
That you feel is the whole, that's the be all and end all.
That is it, but that is it. That is the beginning.
So Russian security, in your view, which I think most people will reject, that
Well,
you're saying that is justification for genocide, for all these people.
There's no word genocide taking place.
Oh yes?
No. What is genocide?
You know, part of the problem with the Soviet Union and this sphere is that you had people with various ethnic groups,
Uh-huh.
and it's a question of fighting for influence. Even in Donetsk, as you said, you have a big pocket of Russians there.
The majority of people there are Russian.
And you have Russia giving citizenship to people almost at will. So the issue is, you're afraid, you think that this could escalate into a serious
it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous situation.
But you feel that that any resolution must be on Russia's terms.
No, I am not saying that you are.
No, I'm asking a question.
No. Well, let me go back again
Uh-huh.
to explain my position. I am saying that there cannot be any total general security. There cannot be any international security unless you have also national security for people. It's connected. It's linked. It's connected to each other. You know, you want to say that because it's 60 years ago that the United States reacted the way it reacted when missiles were put in Cuba, that is not relevant anymore. But it is relevant because it tells you what America would do if somebody goes to its border, military border, in that way. And then why should the United States have that right to want to feel safe and don't want to have these things on their border, and Russia must feel safe with all these nuclear weapons, all these missile launchers right on their border, not 90 miles away as Cuba was. This is on their borders.
Well, look what will happen if Russia annexes Ukraine, as it seems.
They're not annexing.
Can I please finish?
Yeah.
Annexes.
Go.
Then it brings it close to some of the Baltic states. Would that then pose a threat to Russia?
Let me make this point to you. Russia has said explicitly that they have no interest in occupying Ukraine. They have recognized Donetsk, which declared themselves as separate since 2014. Donetsk and Luhansk said that they were separate from Ukraine. Russia resisted recognizing them, and that is why Russia made so much of effort in the Minsk Accord so that they will be given some more autonomy so that they could keep the Ukrainian state, including Donetsk and Luhansk. It is the failure of the Ukrainian and the tearing up of the Minsk Accord by Ukraine when they did not respect
I don't know
that.
how you could say
But
that.
that is a fact.
No.
You see, you're looking at it today. You cannot look at this issue today. You have to look at it in its historical context. And that is why we are where we are. And Russia is saying that do you know how many thousands of Donetsk Russian people who live in Donetsk and Luhansk have been killed over the last 8 years? Thousands of them have been killed.
You know, you're saying all of this. There is no evidence. I don't know.
I mean,
If you're gentlemen.
you
Now-
see, but what is your problem, I must say, is that your source of information is limited to the CNN and to the BBC and all of that.
All right.
You're not looking for alternative news.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm not sure alternative news or alternative fact, but let me ask you this. Are you saying then that this justifies the destruction of a dozen cities and towns?
Listen.
Can I finish my
I'm
question?
I'm here to go.
In one day, and the loss of scores of lives, that you think that Russian insecurity justifies the level of action that Russia has taken?
Let me make this point. It is regrettable that the situation has reached where it is. Nobody would say that this is good, this is happy, and Russia, and anybody with any type of conscience will obviously bulk against the killing. And what happens in things like this? A lot of innocent people lose their lives in situations like this. But as I'm saying, the matter to solve this issue is in the hands of NATO. The matter is in the hands of NATO to give Russia security guarantee.
So
That is it. That is not.
know,
The matter is not in the
you-
hands
you
of
sound-
Russia.
you
The
sound- you somehow think
Mm.
that what Putin says,
Mm.
it's the biblical truth.
No.
You ignore completely the Security Council, all the countries, you ignore your own government, you ignore the opposition in Guyana.
Yeah.
You ignore them as
Yeah.
though you, Donald Ramatar,
Mm.
have all the facts. And they don't know. They look at CNN, like me, they look at CNN and
no.
BBC.
No, they probably have other interests to look after, because I don't think if they are looking at the facts, they will take this position of condemnation. It is regrettable what has happened. I feel very upset that Russia has gone into Ukraine. But I also see that Russia was pushed for years, from since 1997 to now. Russia has been pushed. Russia, and I'm not taking what Putin has said. I hardly read Putin's speeches and so forth. I do sometimes when it's reported, and then when I have the time, if he's on the television, I listen to him. But I know the facts. These are the facts.
Now,
That NATO has been going in 1999, in the 2000 and between 2002 and 2004, they brought Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, in Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia into the alliance. In 2009, they brought in Albania and Croatia. In 2017,
people wanted protection from Russia. Why don't you?
That is absolute
Donald,
nonsense.
why
But
don't you,
show
why
me
don't you
then.
say that
Okay,
way?
all
Why
right.
don't you say that way?
Okay, but let me ask you this then. Since you are so emphatic that you wanted protection from
No,
Russia,
I'm asking you.
Show me where. You show me where, in one instance, Russia threatened any of these countries.
Because no,
Show me where.
No, it
And
was-
I'm showing you Matlock,
Man,
who was
oh
the,
God,
who was
you're
the
going back to
expert,
that man.
who was the expert, said that this was never so.
You gone back to?
No,
apparently that's the
that's
only
no-
source.
No, that's not the only source.
1997, you said? No, the point is.
This article that Matlock wrote was a few days ago.
Okay.
I was there. This is what this,
No,
was,
I
this is
thought
the
you
name
said-
of the article.
I
I
thought
was
you said
there.
No, but
Uh,
the question is it not possible that they felt that they needed the protection of NATO?
Let me. You just said to me.
No, I'm asking you a
No,
question.
No. You just said to me.
You're not asking the question.
Yeah, I'm answering you.
Okay.
You just said to me that Russia is a ruined country. The economy is low.
I didn't say that.
You said that just now. You said it to me just now.
No, I said.
In the beginning of our conversation, you can go back and look at the tape. You said that to me. So if Russia is all of that weak and destroyed, how was Russia threatening all these people that you're talking about?
Let's go on, because something is wrong. Now, what do you think of these sanctions that have been imposed not only by the United States, by the EU, by Japan, other countries of Asia?
I think it reflects the power of the United States. Let me tell you why. Because I was ashamed. If I was a German, I would have been terribly ashamed. Because I saw a press conference with President Biden and the Chancellor of Germany, the new Chancellor of Germany, speaking about this situation. And it was President Biden who was saying that if Russia attacks Ukraine, I, Biden, will see to it that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline doesn't go on. And that is one of the fundamental reasons that NATO still exists.
I asked you a straight question.
I'm telling you, I'm giving you a straight answer.
No,
I'm trying to give you some more information on the matter too.
I don't know if I can ask you questions because you decide how to interpret and rephrase my question. So you don't think the current sanctions will deter Putin?
No, I don't think so. I think the very fact that Russia has taken a step that it has taken, it would have been considering that sanctions are in place for them. And they have been sanctioned for so long that obviously sanctions affect people and so forth. But I think that they have been preparing for this. They have been making preparation for these sanctions.
Well, were they preparing for sanctions when they were pretending that there is no invasion coming?
They were preparing for sanctions.
Putin definitely lied to the
No.
international community.
They were preparing for sanctions a long time ago. Since they started to be subjected to sanctions, they have been preparing for sanctions. If you follow that they have been doing a lot of trade, trying to avoid using the United States dollars. That they have been trading with China and with many other countries, using the different types of currencies, and because I think they know that sanctions could affect them. They have been stocking up on gold. If you been following the news, Russia has the largest gold reserve now in the world, I believe. Because of all of that, I think that they have been preparing for sanctions. Now, and not because of this issue, but because Russia feels, and I believe not without justification, that the West does not want to see Russia's economy to grow. They don't want to see Russia to become a powerful country. That is what is.
But isn't Russia a powerful country?
It's powerful only militarily. Russia's economy is smaller than some of the states. In the
just now you said, I said that, and
no,
you took issue with me.
Yes, but that's what I said it in the context that you said that they were on their backs.
No, I did not say.
You did
well,
say.
Let's go on. Yeah. So, you don't think the sanctions will make any difference?
Not because right now for the Russian government, this security issue is more important to them than facing some hardship from the sanctions. That is how I see it.
You believe that that Ukraine poses a serious security issue to Russia?
If Ukraine becomes a NATO country,
but Ukraine is not.
But it has applied in
2020. So you bomb them because they applied?
NATO officially recognized Bosnia, Herzegovina, Georgia, and Ukraine as the next wave of people to join the NATO. So tell me something. I mean, if you're sitting in Russia, and you're seeing the NATO, it's not. Russia hasn't gone. The United States is protected by two large oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. But their troops are and their military hardware is in Ukraine now. Their soldiers are in Ukraine. Their soldiers are in Poland. Their soldiers are all over the place. Russia has nobody in Mexico, nobody in Canada.
So that would be your justification?
Not a justification.
No, I'm asking.
What I'm saying is to you is this, that what you are failing to recognize is that Russia has legitimate security concerns. That's all I'm saying to you, that you're not recognizing Russia's security concerns.
And I ask you if I can go back. If Russia's legitimate security concerns justify the kind of warfare that this has unleashed.
And
you said
look, let me put it this way.
It's regrettable.
No, it's very.
That's what the PPP said.
Yeah,
in 1968, I think it was.
Let me make this
with
point.
the Prague invasion.
I can't remember exactly what the PPP
yes,
said. I know that the PPP said that they understood why the
they said it used the word regrettable.
No, it was regrettable. It was regrettable that this is regrettable. Russia in Ukraine is a very regrettable thing that has happened. But what I'm saying, you cannot only look at it from yesterday. You got to understand why we are in this position. That is the question that you are avoiding.
Tell me something. Recently, President Putin erroneously gave some big historical speech to say that Ukraine doesn't even have a right to exist as a country.
I think he was taking, if you notice, he was speaking without papers, with notes. What he was saying is that Ukraine and Russia were one people, one country. That's the history of Russia and Ukraine. And he was saying that Ukraine was created by Lenin, Vladimir Lenin, in 1922 when he formed the Soviet Union and created Ukraine as a separate state from Russia. But that doesn't automatically mean that he is saying that he
said that.
No, that doesn't automatically. No, he was giving his story. He was giving, in my view, he was giving a historical explanation, and then he went on. But that doesn't mean to say that he wants to bring back whole of Ukraine into Russia.
it's interesting Guyana made this statement because Guyana is a beneficiary of this action, at least a short-term beneficiary.
The price of oil.
The price of oil. I think it has probably gone up to close to $107 per barrel
Guyana,
from $35 per barrel a few months ago.
yeah,
Should
Guyana
Guyana be celebrating this?
No, I don't think so. Why should they celebrate it? This is a war. People are dying. Why should Guyana celebrate? But it's not. Guyana is benefiting in a small way. The people who are really benefiting is ExxonMobil. That is who's benefiting.
No, Guyana also gets a share.
Yes, but how big is the share?
I think you're in a better position to answer
Okay.
that question than I am.
Okay.
The high inflation, stock market tumble, what impact you see all of this having on the global economy?
A very negative impact. I think inflation. Look, the very fact that the price of fuel has gone up. Fuel is essential in almost. Energy is essential in almost every activity, every economic activity that we do. And the very fact that the price of fuel is skyrocketing is going to impact negatively. Inflation will go up, and all of these things. You can even, if this thing does not stop in the shortest possible time, it can start to create shortages and other problems. So it's not something that I believe any sane person should want to have. This is something that needs to come to an end.
You call this NATO aggression? Is that how you would see it?
Let
NATO
me put
expansion.
I would say NATO. I wouldn't. Let me put it this way: NATO's expansion to right onto Russia's border has caused this feelings of insecurity in Russia, and Russia has a right to think so. Because let's take, for instance, the same NATO bombed for 72 days straight the former Yugoslavia in the 1990s. The same NATO broke up Yugoslavia. Broke up. You talking about Donetsk and so forth. What about this place in Ukraine where they rip it off from?
Not the Crimea you're talking about.
Not the Crimea. I'm speaking about former Yugoslavia. It was ripped off from Serbia, and all of that, all without the United Nations sanctions. So how do you expect Russia to feel when they're seeing all of this aggression? The United States went to war in Iraq without the United Nations blessings, and all of this thing you're hearing about security, their security information. The security in the United States has changed. It's not only now to gather the intelligence, it's not only now to gather information, but it's to justify certain types of other activities, like to justify the invasion of Iraq.
Are you disappointed that the PPP, which historically has had a very close alliance with Russia and the USSR, has not made a statement on this matter?
Well, it's early days. Let's see what the PPP will say. But I don't think they'll probably say anything different than what the government has said.
But given their relationship,
look, the PPP had a very close relationship with the Soviet Union. The PPP had a very close relationship with the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The PPP has no relations now with no political party in Russia. The PPP is not, Russia is not a socialist country. Russia, as I mentioned at the beginning, Russia is probably more capitalist than America because it doesn't have the same amount of safety nets as America has. So I don't see that PPP and Russia has any relationship.
So you see the PPP taking a pro-American line in this matter?
Well, the government has taken such a line.
Yeah, no, but I'm asking about the PPP.
Well, I don't think that the PPP position will be very far from the PPP government's position.
But you and Clement Rohi are pretty influential in the PPP.
I don't know how influential. I am not influential, put it that
Well,
way. I don't
no,
know how
but-
influential
but
Clement
see,
Lohi
no,
is.
no, no. When it comes to ideology, you will be considered to be the keepers.
If we were
The
so,
keepers.
but I wouldn't speak for Rohi. Rohi could speak for himself. If I was as influential as you were trying to make out to be, then I don't think our position would have been what it is.
When you say our position,
The statement made by the government, I don't think it would have been what it is. Because that's not my position. You heard my position very frankly.
do you think that the government's position has anything to do with this oil contract and its close relationship with Exxon?
I don't want to speculate. I am not here to
Well, you've been
speculate.
speculating.
No,
for the
I
best-
wasn't. No, I wasn't speculating. I was giving you facts. These are facts. I'm
But I
speaking
did
of
ask you
facts.
about some outlook, and you did answer. So you, I mean, you're a thinking man, a deeply thinking
Yeah,
man.
but I have no evidence to
No, but when you
conclude
think-
what you were saying. That's what I'm saying. If you ask me, you'll be pushing me to speculate, and I don't want to.
No, I'm asking you what you think. As a
No,
you're
I
a
don't-
retired president.
Because
You obviously thinking
I
a
do
lot
not
about
have all their facts. These are the people in the government. These
No,
are the people
what
with
are
all
the
their
facts? What would you consider all
Well,
the facts?
they probably have. They were in government. The government generally got far more information than you and I, who are out of the government.
No, but I'm not sure.
And they consider
What kind of
that-
facts you're thinking
I
about?
don't know. How will I know? If I was,
You
if
were
I-
a president.
Yes, but this is a different situation. When I was president, we didn't have this problem. So I don't, and we didn't have any problem near like
You
this.
know-
You know?
You know, I
Yeah,
wonder
like
if you're
this.
trying to avoid a question that that
I am answering you.
No,
I
but
am answering
I'm
you
asking
honestly
you
and
if-
frankly.
No, you said you're avoiding the question.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that I cannot answer your question because if I attempt to do so,
Would-
I will be speculating.
Would you say that that's a distinct possibility?
That what?
That the PPP is hamstrung by this relationship with Exxon and Americans?
I will again repeat that I am not going to make any speculation. And it would be good if you could invite some of the government people and you could ask them that. I think they're available. You can ask them what is their position. So you need not need me to speculate on that.
Are you saying, because you said that the PPP has gone, it's different from what you might have known.
PPP's position is similar to your position. That they're looking at it as a snapshot. They're looking at it what happened yesterday and today, and they have ignored the history of this issue. That is what is very clear from the statement that I saw.
To be fair about the PPP, they said they will be, the government said is now in consultation with their international partners and will issue a full statement before the end of the day.
Well, I don't know who are their international partners. I have no idea who are their international partners and who are they waiting for.
But surely as a former president for the PPP, you're consulted on matters?
Yes, but if I was president, I would have made a statement on behalf of Guyana. I wouldn't wait for international partners.
Do you think that Guyana will suffer for not taking a more friendly line with the Russians?
No,
You don't think so?
I don't think so. If you look at Guyana's trade with Russia, it's minimal.
Mhm.
There is not very much. Guyana don't depend on Russia for very much. Guyana's trade is more with, and economic relations is more with the United States, with other countries, with China. It's not with Russia.
Do you believe, as someone who studies these issues, that China's position is in any way influenced, position in relation to Russia and Ukraine is in any way influenced by China's position on Hong Kong and Taiwan?
Well, it must be, and if you look shortly before this happened, Putin was in President Putin was in China,
That's right.
for the Olympics, the opening of the Olympics, and they made it a point to appear very publicly on television and to show their friendship, and they signed friendship agreements, and saying that they have common positions. So I suppose that these things, this is speculation now. That I suppose that
Thanks, no.
that they are that they probably would have had to discuss some of these things, and a possibility where these things can go and where they can lead.
Do you fear any other country now? Putin has ominously threatened anybody getting involved in his action in Ukraine. Do you see that as a possibility? The NATO countries, not NATO, because NATO is not necessarily bound in this matter, but the NATO countries, do you see them getting more directly involved?
Well, I hope not. I hope not, because I think that the situation has gone so far already that it's quite easily can get out of control. And if any other NATO country get involved and it's in a military way, I think it can have consequences that would be disastrous for all of us.
Because we don't know, we don't have all information, we don't know how this war, because it is a war now. Apart from truth being one of the casualties, in fact truth is one of the worst casualties of war, civilians are another innocent
Unfortunately.
victims. What kind of humanitarian crisis you see? Because we've already told about long lines of cars heading out of Kiev and those places.
Yeah, well, that's one apart from people getting killed, unfortunately, and people's homes being destroyed, and people's workplaces and factories being bombed and destroyed. The other problem is refugees can be going into other countries and creating a whole set of other difficulties. So I think it's very, I think the situation is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. And I maintain my own position that the solution is in the hands of the NATO alliance to appreciate the right of Russia to feel secured.
But okay, that may be true. Even if let's assume that's true. Why is Putin so keen on regime change in Ukraine?
I don't think Putin cares.
But he said that. He said that.
It could lead to that, but I don't think that is what Putin has started to do. He said also, but I didn't hear him say that. I didn't see him say that. Maybe he did. I didn't see that.
Yes, he did.
But all I can tell you, it sounds contradictory to me, because he said he's not going to occupy Ukraine. He's supporting Donetsk and Luhansk. He's not. He said.
But Kiev is not Donetsk and Luhansk.
He said he's not. Well, the fighting is taking place because of the shelling that has started by Ukraine against.
You mean the false flags? Donald, don't tell me believe that.
Man, oh my God! You take everything hook, line, and sinker from the CNN. Eh? This for 8 years, thousands of people in Donetsk and Luhansk have been killed. Thousands of people have been killed, not one or two. And when this thing started, the attack started on the shelling started. Well, as you said, truth is the biggest casualty. But both sides start to accuse each other of shelling each other. And
but who did the first act of violation? You don't know?
The Russians and the people in Donetsk and Luhansk are saying it's the Ukraine that started to shell them.
Oh man, the false flags, you know
Man,
the story, man.
You see again, you're repeating things that comes from one side.
So because if a fact
how
comes
do
from
you
any
know
side,
that it's true? How do you know? We heard that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
No, that's a
No,
different.
that's not a different story.
Don't try
It's
to.
not
no,
a different
don't
story.
try
It's
to
the same
confuse
story.
it. We are talking about what Putin did and what Putin engineered
What he
from those
engineered?
states. First of all, you said he didn't recognize them for so years.
Listen to me,
And
comrade.
suddenly he wants to start a war, and he said, I'm recognizing them, and I'm going in to give them security.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yes. He
Is
said
that
yes,
CNN
he
propaganda?
No, he said that because he said that they were shelling. He was going to protect the Russian people who live in Donetsk and Luhansk. That he's going into these areas that
Donald, look, this is Ukraine, and Putin, they're all over this place. When Donetsk and go down and say, hey,
this is, draw another map. You can see that this is Russia and NATO's all around it.
no,
Russia.
don't switch the story,
No, I'm
man.
not switching. I'm
Don't
not
switch it.
switching, but you
You-
can't have it. You can't have it both ways. You can't have
No,
it
no,
one
no,
way
no,
and
just
say
the
that
moment you
Russia is surrounding Ukraine and
Just
you're
the
not
moment-
recognizing
no,
that Russia is surrounded.
Just the moment you said that it was to protect these two states.
That is what. Let me put it this way. Russia has said very clearly. They didn't hide behind anybody back and say it. They said it publicly on television that they're going into Donetsk and Luhansk to protect the people who live there because of the shelling from Ukraine. Ukraine, on the other hand, is saying it was Donetsk and Luhansk who started the shelling. So we don't know where the truth is, but you already conclude that it came from Russia, from the Russian side.
It's not for me to conclude. There
Okay.
are certain facts. Do you think the Guyana should be coordinating with CARICOM on this matter?
Well, CARICOM has made a statement too, and I don't think it's very far off from what Guyana's position.
But
They're all condemning Russia's intervention and invasion into Ukraine. And as I said, it is very unfortunate that they're only taking what has happened today without looking at how we got here. To me, the most important issue is how we got here and why we got here. That is the problem.
Are you challenging the word invasion as well?
No,
So you accept that Russia has invaded Ukraine?
But I am saying Russia, they said they're going into Ukraine, they're smashing Ukraine's military infrastructure because Ukraine has been collecting some of the most modern weapons from the West, from the United States, from France, from all of these places, and this is their explanation that they are going to prevent that from attacking Russia.
Former President Donald Ramadar, our operator is signaling it's time. Thank you very much for appearing on Plain Talk. Yes, it does. Operators and viewers, thank you. Good night for this special edition of Plain Talk as we discuss the invasion of Ukraine by Putin and Russia. See you next week.
If I think about the ways you make me smile, I'd be sitting here and smiling for a while.